Welcome once again to Bleeding Edge Interviews, where we take a deep dive into the minds of the modern masters of progressive rock. I am your host, Super Dave. Thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. So, one of my favorite parts about doing these interviews is getting to hear more about a great story. And really, what better stories are there than those where someone with a dream or a vision makes that dream into a reality? Well, my guest this time around did exactly that. His name is Tanpawat Suttipong, but he goes by the name Title, and he is the mastermind behind Triton Project, a new band whose debut album just came out, and it's called Messenger's Quest. So the whole story behind the creation of the album is really, in and of itself, impressive enough, but the fact that it's balls to the wall prog with an epic story, and not one, but two 20-plus minute songs. Hardly gets more impressive than that. So, without further ado, here is my chat with Title of Triton Project. Quick note here too, when you're going across the globe, things happen, and it does seem that our across the globe connection on that day was a little slow. So I'm just going to apologize in advance for the delay you're going to hear between our exchanges. Nothing we could do about it, but nonetheless, it's a great little conversation. So, without further ado, here's my conversation with Title of Triton Project.
Thank you very much for joining me, Title. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me here. I got to say, it's unusual, and I've seemed to have been lately working my way slowly across the globe, and I've kind of finally circled back to where I started about 5 months ago, where the first interview on this little trip of mine was with somebody in Australia, and now I've made it to Thailand. But talking with you today because you are being touted as the mastermind behind the new album Messenger's Quest by Triton Project, of course. And that's been getting a lot of very positive attention here in the U.S. So I'm very curious. You are brand new and unknown quantity, so to speak, for me, and I think for the rest of us to a large extent. So tell us a little bit about your musical background and how that led to the creation of Triton Project.
Okay. Thank you. Before I start, I would like to also thank you for inviting me to join this interview today. It's my first time attending any interview ever about my music. Okay, so about Triton Project, it started when I was in a college, studying in a college. Back when in 2017, I wrote a demo, an 8-minute demo, and I don't know who would I send it to because no one around me listened to this kind of music. So back then I already knew the vocalist who is in Triton Project called Sean Thompson. He was already in his band called Art Logic. So I sent this demo to him, and he really appreciated it. He was like, "Yeah, you should make this a full thing, like full album, and I will help you." Yeah, he said. So yeah, then we begin to talk about the concept and the music. Then next thing in 2020, I wrote another demo, which is a maybe 20-minute demo, and sent it to Sean again, so he could track the guitars, and he sent back to me, and I was blown away by his how amazing it sound when my song was recorded with a real guitar. So I was really inspired and would like to make this a full thing. So then we continued to work together from 2020, and the full material was completed on around 2022, and we discussed with each other how could we make this better, and he suggested that I should find another member for the band. So I tried to find a bassist and a drummer for this project, and I found the person who his name is Kieran Pope. I saw him on YouTube covering Dream Theater songs and many other rock songs. Yeah, so I tried to contact him and gave my demo that if he is interested, and he replied back that he was really interested in my project. So then we got Kieran on 2022 as a bassist for the band. And then we continue to record everything except for the drum. I program on the drum myself. It's quite a shame really that we didn't found a drummer for this album. But in the end, I was really glad that the album came out like quite well. Yeah.
Yes, indeed it did. So this has been a labor of love for you, so to speak, for 4, 5, 6 years at this point in time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. And how did
Yes,
you know
maybe about
Sean?
5 to 6 years since the first demo until this album came out.
Right. Yeah.
Sean, I already love prog rock and prog metal, and have been listening to the genre like since I was a little boy. And I like to discover new bands that not many people have known yet. And I found Odd Logic, a band called Odd Logic, which is Sean's band, on the website Prog Archive. And I've been a fan since like 2013. And I found that Odd Logic has a Facebook page. So I tried to contact a person behind this band, as I was like really impressed with their music. And then that's how I knew Sean. He was the mastermind behind Odd Logic.
Very cool. I'm curious because one, most people don't discover progressive music and really get into it until they're older. So you were ahead of the curve in that way. You were very early. Kudos to you. Good
Yeah,
work.
I think so too.
Most people are later in life discovering that. Is is the audience for progressive rock and metal pretty big in Thailand? You know, what's it like there? Is that how you got exposed to it so early?
I don't think that is a big scene here, because like everyone around me and I think all of Thailand, there's like very few people who get into this kind of music. Yeah, there are some handful of people who know this kind of music, but only like the big ones like Pink Floyd, Dream Theater, or something like that. Yeah, but they hardly knew any bands that like less popular.
Right.
So the reason I got to progressive music since the very young age was because my father, he listened to a bit of prog rock, like Pink Floyd, and yes, I was like, yeah, this music is different. It's different from any other thing I have listened to. So I kind of start from there. From there, I knew Pink Floyd, and then I discovered Dream Theater later. I think, yeah, this is kind of like different too, but it's heavier and like more exciting. Yeah. And from that point on, I try to find this kind of music. I think to myself like, yeah, there should be more of this kind. I really love it. And yeah, I think since then until now, I've known like hundreds of prog brands by now. Yeah, I really love it.
Very cool. Very cool. So I have to imagine you've had I mean, some pretty extensive musical training, because you're pretty much a virtuoso on the keyboards there from what I'm hearing. So it's that your skills are really impressive. Tell me about that a little bit.
My keyboards. I for me personally, I think that my skills still have a lot of room for improvement. I learned piano when I was a kid, and yeah, as my interested in prog music growth, I and tend to be more interested in keyboards too, because like in normal rock or metal music, there is no keyboard. There is hardly any keyboard, and prog rock was like the ignite the passion in me that the keyboard can be cool in this kind of music. So yeah, I chose keyboard as my main instrument. And to be honest, I don't think my skill is quite there yet compared to the pros. But I like to write a song more than play anything technical. So yeah, I'm satisfied as long as I can come up with anything creative, but if it's not too technical, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Who would you say were your major influences as both a composer and as a keyboardist?
My major influence, I would like to say first that it would be the big prog band, like I said before, Dream Theaters, Pink Floyd, and I also discovered a smaller bands, and there is a one particular band that really inspired me. Whose name is Lalu? Have you heard of them? Lalu.
Yeah. Actually, matter of fact, they were one of my top albums last year.
Yeah, Lalu first album. He is a French composer and a keyboardist too.
Yeah.
So I discovered his debut album called Oniric Metal, and yeah, that album totally blew me away.
Yeah,
it's like prog metal, like Dream Theater, but I think that the keyboard sounds there is quite different. They sound like very beautiful, ethereal, fantasy-like, and I think this is really right kind of music for me. And then he became my inspiration for playing keyboard and wanting to write a song in that style. Yeah, and there are many other prog band that inspired me too. My favorite prog rock band is Frost from UK. Yeah, I really like the keyboard of Frost.
Right.
It's really creative, and the music is complex yet very pop like sometimes, but yeah, very creative.
Yeah, they do an impressive job of writing some really nice prog or pop hooks, rather, I say, within their progressive music. So it makes it very accessible.
Yeah, I agree.
So talking about the compositional process for this album, if I'm hearing correctly, this is not the first time I've kind of encountered an album that sort of had its beginnings in one individual who then pulled other people in from distance for a project. And so if I understand, it seems like to a large extent you pretty much composed everything, but then invited other people to add their style and some of their own touches to it. Does that sound about right? Do I have it right?
Yes, you got it right. So like you said, I wrote everything myself, from drum programming to bass and guitar and keyboards, but they also didn't really sound that good back then. Yeah, and the members that I got into this band really, like, they really pull this up, really make it sound bigger, better. And I really appreciate that they joined.
Yeah. I imagine that's at times got to be not an easy thing to do. I'm trying to think of the right word I want to use, but the idea that you're taking this thing that you created yourself and is important to you, and then saying, all right, I'm now going to put this in your hands, and I'm going to expect you might change it a little bit. And I can imagine it's hard not to feel a little bit protective about what you created when other people then start to put their own input into it.
Yeah, you've got that right. I may be a little protective of my material, but at the same time, I'm open to ideas that my bandmate came up, and sometimes I agree, but sometimes I may not like. But we compromise and we meet each other in the middle way.
Yeah.
So like Sean record his guitar and vocal, and send it back to me. I listen to it and like write a comment for him like, this part is really good, but this part I think needs to be like the other way instead of this one. Yeah, and he really understand and open about this too. And Kieran as well. Kieran is really great at his bass playing, and yeah, he is open to ideas too.
Yeah, it's a wonder of our modern world and technology now that we can do this. Like, that small creators, independent creators can connect with people across the world and put together music and not something small. Like what you did with this album is pretty huge when you talk about it. This is your first album out, and it's 77 minutes. You've got 2 songs over 20 minutes, and you pulled all this together using talent from across the globe and doing the interaction back and forth just via the internet. It's amazing that it allows us to do this and allows small creators and small independent artists to do this at home.
Yeah, I'm thankful for the technology too, that I am able to meet these people in the first place.
Yeah, and there was a fourth person. Was it Olivier Allard? Brought some violin to Lighthouse of the World. How did you connect with him as well?
Olivier, the Lighthouse of the World. Yeah, the longest song on my album.
Yeah.
That one, I think I need that one to be like more special than the others. So when we finished recording everything, I think that something is missing from that song. And there's some part that's like, I think that's like, there could be something more in this part. And suddenly I just think up, why not violin? Then I try to add some virtual instrument, violin in there, and send it to my bandmates, and they think we think it's a good idea to add some violins in here. So I try to find someone who is capable of playing violin to record the real thing in there. And the first person I think of is Olivier, because I knew his band, Sidemine. I don't know. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Sidemine. Yeah, Sidemine should be more correct. Yeah, I already knew Sidemine, and they are an incredible band with great skills and instrumental rock metal. Yeah, and I tried to contact Sidemine first, like if their violinist is available to record for this particular song. And yeah, I contact Mr. Olivier, and he agreed to do this, and we exchanged the file, and he recorded back for me. And okay, this sounds huge, and I would like to keep it in our album. Yeah, and that's how the Lighthouse of the World came to be.
Nice. So talk about the story of the album and the lyrical content, what were your inspirations for the story of this messenger and his quest?
Yeah, it's kind of simple story really. At first, I when I wrote the album, I had a loose concept in mind that I would like this album to be about the journey in a snowy and cold landscape, just like that. But after we finished the demo and I discussed the concept with Sean, and Sean asked me, "What would you like? What would I like this album to be about?" And back then, when I just finished the album, I also completed a video game called The Messenger. And yeah, I think, yeah, why not created some adventure like story like this? Yeah, because I am the person who was also really inspired by video game music and play a lot of video games. So yeah, I like to this first album to be an exciting adventure, like linear adventure, and yeah. So I told Sean that this album could be about like the messenger going on his quest to deliver something, and you should add some like twist here and there. And Sean just took that prompt and made everything huge for me. So Sean is really great at writing fictional world and fantasy like story from his previous albums. Yeah. So this is like kind of what he is really good at. Yeah. So Sean basically wrote every detail, almost every details in the story. Wrote every really lyrics. Yeah, from my initial idea.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is that fantasy epic adventure behind the whole album, which, you don't see a lot of these days, which is very, to me, enjoyable, to pull that out there and have it be, from what I gather, something that's not necessarily a metaphor or allegorical. It is a straightforward fiction story, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite straightforward. Like I don't really think much about how other people will think of this story or the music. I just I want my music to be like this, and if there is anyone who will like it, and they will like it.
Yeah. I do notice though that there's a section in there though that is sung in Thai. Is that your doing, I presume?
Yeah, that's my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Very nice. Yeah. It adds a little sudden flair to the song overall when that pops in there. But I like the idea, and I think that you got the lyrics, the English translation on your Bandcamp, so that's handy as well.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain thing that's kind of cool about the mystery of hearing a language spoken in the song that I don't know and I don't understand. I'm like, I wonder what that's about. And it's like a mystery. At the same time, it's kind of nice. Oh, good. There's the answer to the mystery.
Yeah, the fact that part, Sean, it was Sean who suggested that we add my voice in there. At first, that part was like, I think I was the one who suggested that part was something else. It was initially a vocal part, and I think this should be something else. Then Sean said like, yeah, you use your own voice. Really? I said really. Yeah. Then I tried to add it, and then they were like, okay, yeah, this is great, and we all went along with it.
Very nice. Well, it seems appropriate to at some point in time have your own voice on this album that is so much a part of you. I mean, in so many ways, it's cool how you conceived all of this and found the people to help you make it a reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me very much, and I don't know if you have discovered them along the way. I spoke with someone last year, a very, very similar kind of situation, and his creation was The Anchorette, and the album and all.
Oh yeah. I know them. Yeah, and I love that album too.
Yeah, it's a very similar story in and how the albums were both created, where you got this person who says, "Hey, I've got this idea. I want to pull this music together, and let me find people to help me out with this." And both of them are such impressive debuts that really to hear what you're doing puts me very much in mind of early Dream Theater, if we can bring their name up again for. But they do seem to be the band that comes up whenever you're talking about progressive rock, especially progressive metal these days, and so many people.
I think of them as a father of all prog metal. Yeah, I really respect them.
Yeah, and they've had their own collection of top level keyboardists over the years. Jordan Rudess being the one people know best. So
yeah, she's like too good for me to climb up to. But I
don't know.
Yeah, but I go my own way.
Yes. I will say what you've got put on this album sounds pretty impressive to me. So you're not as far away, I think, from him as you might think. Then again, you're probably better than I am. You're a keyboardist, I'm a drummer. What do I know? So, very nice. So the question I guess I have then, and I know this presents some challenges in touring, is there a thought in the future of taking this out on the road and touring around to bring the album to more people?
To be honest, I think this dream is quite far away for now, because first all the band members live in a different continent. Like I'm from Thailand, Sean is from US, and Kieran is from UK, and we have no drummer yet. Yeah. So, but I'm open to any possibility that might come in the future. It would be great if. I think I would be really, really proud if I get to play my own music in any kind of festival or concert or show. Yeah, but for now, like, that's likely not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm focusing on writing more music first, like expanding my discography first. Yeah, before like in the future I can play. There are many choices to play if I can go live one day.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was the other part of my question. I was hoping this wasn't going to be like a one-time thing that you put this album together and then went, well, you know what? That was my epic. I'm done, and I've got other things to do. I am very pleased to hear that you have in your mind plans to continue this, even if you can't necessarily tour with it. I know touring these days tends to be very difficult, both in the expenses involved and making any money out of it, and just the general logistics. I also know that a unique creation like yours, or I guess not as unique anymore as these days, but a creation such as yours, where you've got these members that are in other bands and spread out across the world, it does make pulling it all together a bit more complex and challenging.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear there will be new music coming.
As long as I have an idea, then I can continue to create the new music. Yeah.
That is excellent. But yeah, it's also a shame we don't get to see you play live. But with any luck, you be able to pull together a tour at some point. That would be awesome. But I know right now, not in the cards, and that's understandable. You are not the only one in that boat right about now.
Yeah. And I think we all have a full-time job and yeah, music is like kind of a maybe a hobby, but it's definitely our passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like
It's a very impressive hobby you have there based on what I hear in this first album. So
yeah, I think
very
I'm more of a listener than a songwriter or a player. Yeah,
Right.
in my free time I want to discover a new prog music like all the time. Yeah, and some of the release this year like already impressed me.
It has been a really good year so far. The last 2 years, really, 2023, 2024 so far. I'm like yourself. I very much love to discover new stuff and find new music. And at this point, I almost can't keep up.
Yeah, it's good that we still got a lot of people who are creative enough to put out this kind of music. Yeah, I really appreciate.
Yeah. Well, Title, I want to say I'm very thankful we were able to talk today. Thank you so much for your time. I'm really impressed with your passion and with your creativity with this album. And I'm so glad that there's this next younger generation that is still carrying the torch for progressive rock and metal, because it does seem like, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of bias on my part, but I do feel like prog rock and prog metal have really kind of having a bit of a renaissance these days, and you're part of that. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome, and yeah, I really thank you for inviting me to this interview again.
It's my pleasure to meet you and talk to you, and thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. Best wishes with the album. I think as this thing gains some steam, I think you're going to do pretty well with it.
Thank you. I hope I can like put out a new music, not too far away from now.
We would like that. Speaking for the public out there that likes this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again. Take care and have a good rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Like I said, a great story about a man with a vision who made it happen in grand style. So a big thank you once again to Title for taking the time to talk with me. I am so glad to have been the first person to interview you, and I hope I didn't scare you away from doing any future interviews. Hopefully it went comfortably and smoothly for you. Best wishes to you and the band, really. The album is getting a lot of notice, very positive notice, and I'm hoping it's going to be really successful for you. So best wishes, guys. And hey, looking forward to what comes out next. Also, while I'm at it, a big thank you to all the viewers and the listeners out there for checking in. I hope you enjoyed the interview, and if you did, please do a quick like and subscribe for me. Also, if you want to follow me on social media, the links are below, and you're also going to find the link to my Live 365 channel, The Expanse, featuring the nothing but the best of prog, rock, and metal, and also featuring Brain Salad Sundays, where it's nothing but classic progressive rock of the 60s and 70s all day long. Can't ask for more than that, right? So that's all I have for you today. As always, I will remind you, never fear to deviate from the norm. Keep it proggy. And this is Super Dave, signing off.